Hello, transfer students. This is Cheryl Cleveland, your director, coming to you for another session of our OK State Transfer Talks. Today we have with us Vince Rivera. He is our Veteran Student Success Coordinator. Vince has a Master's of Arts in Higher Education Administration and a Bachelor of Science in Accounting Information Systems from the University of Nevada, Reno. Vince has worked in higher education since about 2015. At both the University of Nevada, Reno Veteran Services, as well as Western Nevada College's Veteran Resources. He served in the United States Marine Corps and in the United States Air Force Reserves. A couple of fun things about Vince. He loves to play disc golf. So if you're out there playing disc golf or you want somebody to join a game, give him a call. He's totally open to that and getting outside and doing that. And I know that he will respond positively to that. He also plays an assortment of musical instruments, according to him, badly, and loves being ignored by his two cats. Thank you for being with us today here, Vince. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and more specifically, why you chosen to work in higher education and work with student veterans specifically?
Okay, first I need to make a clarification. It's not according to me, it's according to anyone else who's ever heard me play. I played badly. So you see, my degree as an undergrad was accounting information systems. I didn't go to college out of high school. I joined the Marine Corps at 17 years old. And one of the big things that brought that on, looking back now, is my high school counselors never talked to me about what it meant to go to college, how to start the process. I'm pretty sure they saw that I was capable, but I wasn't putting in the work in high school, so they sort of just let me slide by. I graduated, joined the military, and I had a stigma that, you know, I'm in the military because I can't go to college because I'm not smart enough, because if I was smart enough, someone would have already talked to me about doing this. After I got out of the military, I did work in as a correctional officer, and I hated that line of work. When I finally decided, you know, I'm going to try this whole college thing, I made this conscious decision. I wanted to do a job, a degree that I think I can get through, because even though I don't think I have what it takes to be in college, I'm going to try to do something that I probably can slide by. Accounting, I know people are like, what, accounting? But it's just math. And I figured it's just math, and I know computers. So this degree is a way for me to get a degree to go get a job, and then I'll figure it out from there. While at the University of Nevada, I worked, I got hired as a work study using my GI Bill, and I worked with my student veterans at that point. And I saw that the difference, not only in my life, like how I handled college, and that was from our director, like you're the director here at UNR, Trina. She showed me that not only was college something that we could do, that we should be striving for and working at every day. And I said, you know, instead of sitting behind a cubicle doing numbers all day, I want to work with students. Now, at that time, it was, I want to work with student veterans. And my career has gone so far working with student veterans. One great thing about working for you has been in being in the Department of Transfer and Student Veteran Success has forced me to push outside this boundary of I work with student veterans to I work with transfer and student veterans, ultimately to that feeling right now. I love working with students. It doesn't matter what their background is, what their nomenclature or their identification is. All students, their history and what they bring to the school, it fascinates me, and it brings me joy every day to talk to a student and find out a little more about them and a little more about what drives them, their why are they here. Just that digging in and learning, that's invigorating, and I love it, and I love working with students, and I want to continue working with students probably for the rest of my life.
Thank you, Vince. That's phenomenal. I think all of us have that moment when we decide we love working with students.
Yep.
I know I'm there. I love working with all of our transfer students. And I'm going to change the tone of the conversation a little bit, because we are talking about transfer students specifically, but we're also going to delve into a little bit about that transfer student experience as our military and veteran students experience, as well as our military affiliated students, our children of veterans, our spouses of active duty or veterans, and what that truly feels like to them, and how those experiences accumulate into eventually getting a degree. When we think about student veterans or active duty military, or that student experience coming from that type of background, it's different. How does military service affect the student experience, whether that be the military member themselves or someone who that military member has as a family member?
One thing that we have, and we talk about knowing your why. When you're in the military, even if you sort of forget your why, it's reminded to you every day, right? You're given a mission, and even if that mission is to hurry up and wait, at least you know that your mission is to hurry up and wait. Coming into higher ed as a military background, even for our family members are probably in households that have a structure because their family member is in the military. And that structure is there that sort of guides you and tells you innately when you're straying off your path. You don't have that support structure here, and you don't have it organically. You can find it, you can find us, you can find our office, but if you just come onto a campus and you go, I'm going to do this school thing, what's next? We don't have, like in the military where they say, I'm going to do this military thing, what's next? And they go, this is next, and this is next, and this is next, until you get out. You don't have that. You need to learn either one, how to navigate it by yourself, which can lead to problems, or two, and it's not something that military members are known for, and that's to ask for help, ask for support, ask for someone to help you guide out that next steps. Once you get that, things get a little better. But until then, the wide openness of higher education can be daunting and, quite frankly, very scary to a military member. And the second thing is your life roles. Your life roles coming in as a student veteran. You're not just a student. You more than likely, this is not true for everyone, but you probably have a family. You might have a part-time or a full-time job outside of school. You have other obligations, social obligations. You just have obligations that go above and beyond what our traditional first-time student has, which is to go to school, do extracurricular, which we have to do. We should be doing extracurricular things too, and then add on all those other layers, and it can make it very emotionally, financially, and physically draining coming in as a non-traditional or a student veteran.
One of the other challenges many of our student veterans face, and family members sometimes too, is, and in the military, our students, our military members, they move around a lot. They're not in one place. You're looking at maybe a 2, 3, if you're lucky, 4-year stint at each institution, at each unit. And then you have the added wrinkle of, in the military, you get all this training, so you have all this military credit too. But while you're moving around, you might attend 1 or 2 or 3 different institutions prior to even obtaining your bachelor's degree. So the vast majority of our student veterans, and even some of our family members who moved around with their family, come in with credit from multiple places.
Yeah.
How challenging is that, and what recommendations do you have?
So, and you basically spoke my life. Prior to saying I'm going to be a full-time student at a university, when I was in the service, they would offer us CLEP tests. And I had a good unit. My unit, and this is very, very rare, was like, if you go and do a CLEP test, we'll give you a half day on Friday. Like, they gave us an incentive to go and do these CLEPs. They said, if you're taking college classes, I think it was like a 3-day weekend every other month or something. So I did have this smorgasbord of college credits from Central Texas University, college credits from the American Public University, but none of it was cohesive. None of it was coherent. It was classes I could take at that moment, at that time, and it sounded interesting to me. I didn't know what a major was. I didn't know what a minor was. I just knew I'm supposed to be taking college credits. We have our joint service transcripts, and for those who don't know, your schooling, your professional schooling in the military, they keep track of it. They tell you you were an avionic calibrator, so you learn small systems measurement diagnostics. You learn resistor, basic electronics. You learn this and that. And a lot of our military members have this idea that, you know what, if I go to do into electrical engineering, I've already taken 80% of what I need for my first 2 years. I'm going to come in as a junior. That's not the case. That's not the case. Well, not always the case. What our students need to do, any student going to any university, they need to first do some research. They need to dig into what are their course equivalencies at that university. Most universities do have an online, I know we do, where you can go in, type in the classes you've taken at other institutions, and find out what is accepted at the university you want to go to. So you want to do that. You want to get your game plan up. You want to collect as much paperwork as you can. If you can get the syllabus from your military training, from those universities, and bring them when you speak with your advisor, when you speak with the transfer success coordinator at your university, to talk about, hey, I feel these should fall into there. Here's the other thing. You need to bring thick skin, because you might have all of the paperwork, all of the backup, all of the proof that says I should get credit for these courses. And that university might have a policy that says, great, but in order to get that degree, you have to take these courses from us because we want to teach you the OSU way or the UNR way or the whatever way. And if that's what the policy is, you're going to have to accept that that's what I have to do. So do some research to advocate for yourself. Find out what the policy is. Talk to your transfer equivalency support system, whether it be transfer support or an admissions counselor or your new counselor, but then also have thick skin and understand that it might not work that way. It might not work out exactly the way you need it, but at least you'll have a plan.
Thank you, Vince. That's fantastic advice for all of our military members. Like Vince, I was myself a military member, and I had to have thick skin because I was an avionics tech, and I had all these amazing courses that I had to do in the military and all this amazing training. And yeah, I didn't get very much credit for it at all. Now, a lot has changed since I was in school.
100%.
I'm not going to talk about how long ago that was, but a lot has changed since I was in school. And a lot more of those credits are being accepted. It's becoming a more widely adopted practice by universities, and OSU specifically does allow quite a bit of those credits in. So if you do have your joint services transcript, make sure you get that submitted, because you never know, that could make a few classes disappear that you don't have to take anymore. And
I want to say a lot has changed. Even I started school back in 2013. I can say that 2012, 2013, and even since then, it's roles like your role, like my role. It's faculty and staff members who are prior military who are saying, why is this the way? That's slowly getting that wheel turning to the acceptance of our JSTs, and hopefully in 10 years it'll be better than it is today.
Thank you. So when we talk about transfer students as military and veteran students, and you've already talked about how you support all students. Every student that walks through the doors of your center gets help from you, regardless of their affiliation or not, because you have you've adopted that mindset of all students need help. With the conversations around transfer are kind of one of those populations that nationwide is getting more and more attention as time goes on. And the same goes for our military and veteran students, obviously, since the adoption of the GI Bill, which was actually around the end of World War II. But since then, especially after the post 9/11 GI Bill, more and more students are who have that type of background are going to college and they're getting the support they need to be able to get those degrees. What type of initiatives do you have that are supporting our transfer student veterans who may be military affiliated families, et cetera? What are you doing to make sure that they're able to be successful?
So I know we have the our transfer ambassadors, and these are under the transfer success, which is the transfer side of this office. I would love to see more of our transfer students taking those roles. So, as I said, I was working as a student worker when I found out I love working with students. I don't think you need to have the goal of being a teacher or in higher ed to know I love working with people. And it wasn't, so I had some great faculty, I had some great staff, I had some great people at the university to really guide me, but it was actually my fellow student who I'd listened to the most. And the reason I listened to them the most is because I knew they're going through, either they've gone through or they're going through what I was going through at that time, right? That personal connection with someone who understands in a real life scenario, not in a theory scenario, of what it means to be a transfer student, what it means to be a student veteran. That kind of connection has a lot more weight with some of our students than someone who says, well, this is my job and this is how I say it should be. So incorporating our student veterans, not only to use the transfer ambassadors, but to become transfer ambassadors, it's one of those giving tree type things where you plant a seed and one day your hope is going to grow to be something a lot bigger, and it covers a lot more people than that original sprout. That's where I love the transfer ambassador, the student on student mentor mentor programs are where I see the best success. As long, and with those mentors being guided by professionals who are experts at transfer, experts at not only transfer credits, but experts at what it means to be a transfer student. What are those experiences that build a transfer student when they get here, and not looking at those as a byproduct, but looking at those as tools that we can use to help foster and grow our future transfer students, using those tools as an asset. That idea is just, it's phenomenal, and I think it's the future of our transfer students as a whole. The second thing is really on the other side, is the initiatives, is advocating for, having those deep talks with universities about why are these credits not accepted? Why are these credits accepted? Why are there first time traditional student programming that our transfer students really, it doesn't pertain to them? Why don't we have that same type of programming for them, whether it be the social aspect or the academic aspect? I think that our universities need to start embracing the fact that transfer students are going to be a larger population over the next 10-15 years than they are now, and to make sure, while it's easy to say we welcome them, to make sure we have the proof is in the pudding, if you would, and that show we welcome and we value the experiences that you bring to us, and that you're going to help grow us as an institution.
So now that you've talked about some of the initiatives that you'd like to advocate for, that you see the value in for our students to be involved in, why don't you tell us a little bit more about what you actually do right now for our student veterans and our transfer students?
So as the Veteran Success Coordinator, an easy one to talk about right now is our center, our Transfer and Student Veteran Success Center, right? This is, as I said, I love the peer-to-peer interaction. I love students getting to know who students are. So we have our center here. It has a social area, it has a quiet study area. But more importantly, these are two spaces where our students can meet and learn who each other are. We can learn, our traditional students can learn what transfer and veteran culture is. Our student veterans can learn who their new peers are. They have a whole new set of peers coming from the military to here. And there's some of this us and them mindset sometimes. And our center works to break that mindset and remind them that these are your new peers. These are who you're gonna be working with for the next, umpteenth decades. Get to know them, get to learn what they bring and how you can help each other. So that's an easy part, is the center, the social interaction. Now, our offices are in the center, and we both have open door policy. So if any student has a personal, financial, academic issue, they can walk in and we are going to listen and start working to advocate and help them navigate some of these rough waters they might be going through. Or it might be they just need to come in and chat for a half hour to decompress after, a rough test. Perfect. I could talk all day, and I love nothing more than to sit down and talk to a student about the latest Netflix series that we were both watching. And then we take a proactive approach to the academic side. As secondary advisors, one of our roles, and one of the roles I take serious, is being proactive, looking at a student, seeing a trend. And we have 2 professors who said that they've missed a few classes. While on the surface that might not seem a lot, but if they've never done that their whole time in, and all of a sudden now they're missing classes, I want to know why. I want to know what's going on there. If they say they were sick, awesome. Let's get them back in. Let's talk to professors about making up a test or so. But a lot of the time, scratching that surface shows there's financial problems. There's personal relationship problems. There are other things outside of the university that are affecting their work here. And that's where the meat of our job is to help navigate those outside influences to make sure that their time here, their core as a student, is as strong as possible.
So in addition to the academic piece, I know there are other things that you do. For instance, your background right now has a very pretty picture on it. Tell us about some of the events that you put on to support our student veterans.
So as you see, the flag planting, right? It looks pretty. It's a nice, scenery. When you walk by the dog tags, so there are 7,158 flags. Those flags represent every service member we've lost since September 11th in combat. It's from a DOD, a Department of Defense certified website where they show who we've lost. And we have our dog tags of each individual service member. Number one, it's nice, and it looks nice, and it can bring a solemn feeling as you walk by. Number two, it shows our student veterans, hey, we care about those that couldn't make it to back to go to school, and we care about the sacrifices that you have made and that they have made. But one of the strongest pieces about something like this is it brings not only our students together to put this display up, but it brings our community members. We're not in a vacuum. A university is not in a vacuum. We need our Stillwater community, universities need their outside community to have a stake and to have a feeling of ownership with their students. And an event like this brings together our students, our faculty, our staff, our community members, all at one time to do something and stop at the end and look and say, wow, look at what we did together. Look at this monument, this statement that we've made together that says we care. So a lot of our programming here, I love that our transfer students are involved. This wasn't a student veteran thing. Most of our volunteers were transfer students who hang out and who have been adopted by our student veterans as part of the group, right? Part of the clan. And I'm gonna say this, we have some of our support services outside, like the American Legion and the Veterans of Foreign Wars. And it always cracks me up when they'll see one of the transfer students who are always at our events, always doing our community service. And they're like, by the way, what service did you serve in? And they're like, oh, no, I didn't serve. I'm a transfer student, or I'm a traditional student who just I found a home here and I do all the things that we do. That right there, my heart skips every time that happens. So we do the flag planting, we do the Molly Easley suicide awareness march, and that one is, once again, I want to show our community, I want to show our students that we can talk about suicide and we can talk about it openly without fear of breaking a taboo, because that's the only way we're going to diminish the amount of suicides we have out there. So we have these events like this that are meant not only to show our students that we care, but to bring together these core aspects that make the university what it is.
Yeah. Thank you, Vince. I know in addition to that, we have a lot of other events as part of our Veteran Appreciation Week. We're actually in the middle of Veteran Appreciation Week, which is why we have Vince on here today.
I don't know, can you hear them outside?
Not really.
We have a full house outside. They're all playing trivia, and it's rocking out there right now.
But we do have many other events that we put on for our student veterans. And like Vince said, we do have transfer students who are regularly involved in those things. Vince also has a student employee program through the VA work study program, where as long as you're receiving benefits, you can become a VA work study.
And those family members and veterans. If you're using a GI Bill and you want to work in a vital and invigorating place, come talk to us. Come talk to us.
But I think one of the things that Vince said and has been reiterating throughout all of this is we here in our office, and Vince as in his role as the Student Veteran Success Coordinator, we provide wraparound holistic student support. And it's so great to be able to have Vince to speak on here, to have someone who has his, Vince is so student centric in what he does and in the culture that he's helped to create in our center, that it is a pleasure to be able to work with somebody like Vince and to work with all of our student veterans as well, because the culture we have here is fun, it's invigorating, it's energizing, it's motivating. And I'm so thankful we have that.
There's nothing better than we'll have a student veteran who shows up, or even a transfer student who shows up timid, they're a little scared, they don't have any friends yet, they don't have any like the clubs yet, or support services, support network, and within 2 or 3 weeks they're the ones making the jokes, they're the ones attending the community service events, they're attending the tailgates, right? They absorb and integrate themselves into the fabric of our students' lives like that. And I love it. I love when I see that.
Well, Vince, we are almost out of time. So if there was one piece of advice, that you yourself wish you had known when you first started school, that you could pass on to our transfer students and our student veterans, what would it be?
Find your support services. It's really easy. Find your support services, because your support services are going to be the ones who guide you to offices like ours, to centers like ours. You could go your whole time on campus, if you're just going from class to class to class, and you didn't raise your hand and ask, what do I have here to help me? You might have a center, you might like the Center for Sovereign Nations, right? That's a great support service for those in the sovereign nations. Our diversity center on the second floor over here. There is a place for every student, for them to find like-minded and also to find not so like-minded people, to sort of get to learn those differences and how to work with those differences. But you got to ask first. You can't just have your head in the phone going from class to class. You need to look up and ask, where can I find people where I belong? And the first spot would be just ask the staff member, ask the faculty member. They'll guide you to where you can find, if they don't know the answer, to find someone who does. And pretty soon you'll find a place that will help you move along and achieve this dream of a degree.
Which actually reminds me, I had a conversation with one of our students who came into the center. And I asked, I was asking students, why do you come into the center? What is it about the center that keeps you coming back? And this student said, And he's a transfer student as well as a student veteran. And he said, you know, I come to the center because this is the one place on campus I can have honest dialogue about difficult things, and it's okay. You know, we can actually have intelligent conversation in the center, and it's okay. There's no fights, there's no he said the debates can get heated, but he can have those honest conversations.
Yeah. No, I'm a big believer in the marketplace of ideas, right? That we're here to expand our knowledge, just not just to read books or get a grade, right? We're here to expand who we are, and the more knowledge we have, the more well-rounded of a citizen.
Thank you, Vince. And our time is officially up. We've been on here for about 30 minutes now. As always, I love to end our sessions on a happy note or with a smile. What do you got for us, Vince? How are we going to end today?
Oh, wow. I did not realize we were gonna do that. A happy note or a smile, and we have like 1 minute left. Let me think. I don't know. You're gonna have to.
It can be a dad joke. You got him. I know you do.
For the first time ever, I just blanked out. Wait a minute. Oh, I do know one thing. So you see this shirt. I thought for a while now that my washer and dryer were shrinking my clothes. It actually turns out it was my refrigerator. Yeah. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you, Vince. Thank you for that fantastic joke, and thank you for being on OK State Transfer Talks with us today. I'm looking forward to our next transfer talk next week, Tuesday at 3 o'clock. And as always, go Pokes.
Go Pokes.